What's up, African family? The Nigerian elections coming up has become, in my opinion, a movie that I'm just observing. And I believe many of us Nigerians are in the same boat. We have no faith in anything good coming up. I mean, you find people they've put all their support behind the same politicians that always make their way to that position. And for some reason, they have been hoodwinked to believe that this time around, those same politicians that have been there for so long are going to effect changes, positive changes that would improve their lives. But it's all lies, and we all know that. I remember Fela and Anikulapo Kuti's song, Army Arrangement, from way back in 1985. I'm just going to play some of the clips of the song, just tiny little bits and pieces, so you can understand that it's not just now. This has been going on for at least 35, 40 years. People have tried. People like Fela, they try to wake up the people to tell them that these same individuals that you're putting your trust and belief in, they are crooks. Fela died in the process. He died, and the situation even got worse after his death. Listen.
Shout again. Inquiry come close to us. Nothing is. Elections to recall.
I can't play the entire thing for copyright reasons, but the bottom line is the same people, the same faces that we keep on crying and supporting, they are the ones that are going to punish us at the end of the day. Now, there is a big argument between Peter Obi supporters and Tinubu supporters. And you know, the Obi supporters, they are very vocal. They would always argue with you about how Obi is the best, how he has done good things in the past. And the Tinubu supporters, they will come around and say the same thing. Oh, Tinubu built Lagos. Tinubu has created many great leaders. For the purpose of this video, we're going to talk about the so-called great leaders that Tinubu created. Now, this lady, I'm not sure who she's supporting. She said, she's a Tinubu supporter. She says, where are the men and women that worked with Peter Obi in Anambra? Where are the people Peter Obi brought into limelight that are in the class of Osibanjo, Fashola, Aregbesola, Gbajabiamila, etc., etc.? If you cannot mention them, stop the hype. And this is the type of conversation that riles up the Obi supporters. So the Obi supporters are now going to respond and be like, what do you mean? These guys that you're mentioning, they are nobodies. But let me just break it down as good as I can. Now, the lady supporting Tinubu, she mentioned great guys that Tinubu brought into limelight, like Osibanjo, the current vice president of Nigeria, Fashola, the former governor of Lagos, Aregbesola, current minister of interior to wherever ministry. It's useless. Nobody even knows what this guy does. He was given that appointment not because of his competency, but because he's a part of the political party. And then you have Gbajabiamila. Gbajabiamila is the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Now, each one of these four guys that Tinubu brought into power, if you do an analysis, you can tell that they are men of extremely questionable character. Let me just put it that way. A lot of people have advised me to stop being very rude and using too many cuss words. Osibanjo, the current vice president. This guy, in my opinion, okay, he has to be investigated for his crimes while being the vice president of Nigeria, while overseeing the economy of the country. Because when Buhari got into power, Buhari said, I will be responsible for the security and Osibanjo will be responsible for the economy. And what did Osibanjo do? He completely failed. And that's why today we now have a population of 75% living in multi-dimensional poverty, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. Those are not my words. Go check it on their website. So if 75% of the people, we're talking 133 million people, are living in all types of unimaginable poverty, which also made Nigeria the poverty capital of the world, overtaking India, then how the hell should you give Tinubu any credit for bringing in Osibanjo as a main man? How? Because our culture, we love worshiping people, we overhype people, we treat people like they are gods just because they have some money. A guy has some money, oh, now he's a god, anything he says is gold. But that's not how it should be. You're supposed to judge people based on the content of their character. So if Tinubu brought Osibanjo to limelight, according to this lady, and that Osibanjo came through and completely destroyed the economy of Nigeria because that was his responsibility, then why should Osibanjo get any form of credit? Or why should Tinubu get any form of credit? If anything, that same Tinubu is supposed to be under crazy investigations. I mean, just go to westafricaweekly.com. Google search westafricaweekly.com, Tinubu drug dealer. Now, the information about Tinubu's drug dealing past, it's not accusations. These are documentations that can be found on the internet, and the links to different incidences that Tinubu was involved with drug dealing, the links are all there, linked up to the United States, different websites from the United States judiciary, whatever. But somehow, this same guy, Tinubu, an extremely questionable character, nobody knows who he is, nobody knows his real name, nobody knows his real date of birth, nobody knew how he got his United States visa in 1975 to move to America. Now he has come back to become the president of the country. And guess what? He stands the highest chance. He is most likely going to be the president because that's just how Nigeria is. Extremely rigged system, extremely one-sided. You're wasting your time if you think you can fight against the rigged system using one of its appendages, the elections. The election that was created by the rigged system is what people believe genuinely they are going to use to fight and defeat these rogues that have taken over the country for the longest time. And that's how ridiculous it is. And some of the victims, like this lady that I was just showing you here, claiming that Tinubu should be the president because he brought in Osibanjo, the current vice president, a rogue that destroyed the economy. He brought in Fashola, the former governor of Lagos. If I'm going to give Fashola any credit, I'll be honest, sometimes, listen, man, it's not all negative up here on the African Wahala. I'm going to give Fashola some credit. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to my sister. Wow. Sinovia Ridley, thank you so much. Been a while, sis. Been a long, long time. Good to see you, and compliments of the season. Kaizorian Empire, Dust Till Dawn. What's up, bro? If I'm going to give Fashola any form of credit, while he was the governor of Lagos State, I'm going to say, yeah, Fashola was responsible for implementing BRT, which eased the traffic situation in Lagos to an extent. So yeah, maybe you can give him some credit, but he has since then fallen from grace to grass in terms of his integrity, because a lot of people respected Fashola back in the days when he was the governor of Lagos, considering how he improved the BRT system, the transportation, the traffic that was impeding the lives of Lagosians. But afterwards, because Nigeria is a Padi Padi system, like Fela Anikulapo Kuti said, let me play some clips from that song again.
Well, elections will be called, well, in the politicians.
Listen, the Padi Padi government simply means that you, a powerful person, you have the opportunity to put your trusted people in the position of power, not for the benefit of the entire society, but for your own personal benefit and the personal benefit of the people that you put in. And that's exactly what has been going on. Tinubu put Fashola as the governor of Lagos, which is ridiculous because it's supposed to be a democratic system, but somehow it's a godfather that is responsible for your next leaders. That's just how it is, okay? So when Fashola got into that place, he did some good things, he did some bad things. Once he was an ex-governor, he then became the minister of power. Now, just do a quick Google search and find out which African country lacks electricity the most. I bet you Nigeria is top 10. 200 million people, maybe only 1 million out of the 200 million have access to over 20 hours of electricity supply per day. And I'm not lying. If out of 200 million, just 1 million, that is 0.5% of the population, has access to over 20 hours of electricity supply per day, that is a complete failure. I remember back then in our growing up years, it was much better than this. At least for those of us that grew up in parts of, like mainland Lagos, Ikeja, Surulere, those of us that grew up in Abuja, we had electricity back in the days, but it only got worse. So Fashola, being the minister of power, a guy that Tinubu so-called brought into limelight. Let me look for the picture of Fashola. This guy here, this is Fashola right here. Destroyed the electricity supply in Nigeria. Yes, sister Sinovia, good to be here. Thank you. I'm going to be here shortly. I just had to put this out here. I come here once in a while and I'm ranting, just to showcase my disgust with the entire system that is caught up in an infinite loop that is almost unchangeable at this point. None of this is going to change this system. If the people the victims of the system are still in support of the perpetrators of the crime, then we are in an infinite loop. It's not going to change. And that's exactly what I'm ranting about this morning. You have Fashola, a guy that is supposed to be the minister of power. A country suffers from epileptic power supply consistently. That has never changed. It never got improved under Fashola. If anything, Fashola became a multi-billionaire. And that is the same thing with Osibanjo. Osibanjo became a billionaire. Are we going to talk about Tinubu? Tinubu is a multi-billionaire without one single invention. Nothing. These guys, they are not known businessmen. They are not known to have created anything that has, been a major solution to the livelihood or to the environment. They've done nothing. They just became magical billionaires simply because they were politicians. Now look at Rauf Aregbesola, this guy, another guy that this lady claims that Tinubu brought into power. This lady here, she says, Tinubu brought this great man into power, and for that reason, he should be the president of Nigeria. She even goes on and says, Tinubu is the leader of leaders. But we are breaking down the so-called great men that Tinubu brought into power, made great men, how good they have actually been. Aregbesola, the former governor of Osun State, was nothing but a thief. Aregbesola owed tons of salary, never paid people their salary. Pensioners were protesting, begging, please, we need our pension. Next time I'm going to be better prepared so I can show you some videos of these things that I'm talking about. They never got their pensions. Pensioners that had worked for 30-something years. The current workers, while Aregbesola was the governor, they were not getting paid their salaries. Some were owed 8 months' salary, and they were still required to show up at work. And if you don't show up at work, you're going to lose your job. And I know people from outside this system might be wondering, but how come if you're not getting paid, why should you show up at work? Listen, if you're from an environment where to get a simple job is so difficult, it's almost impossible to even get a job, then if you have one, even if you're not getting paid, trust me, you will do anything to maintain that job. Even if it means I'm not going to get paid for going to work every day, but I still have to show up at work so that I don't get fired. You're going to show up at work. And that's exactly what Aregbesola did to the workers of Osun State. And guess what? While all of that was happening, Aregbesola was nothing but a multi-billionaire. He was getting richer and richer. Then afterwards, because of the Padi Padi government, Aregbesola became a minister. That's how it works in Nigeria, you know. You become a governor or a senator. Once you retire from that position, then you become a minister. That's how it works. Incompetent thieves. If this was China, all of these guys from Osibanjo, Fashola, Aregbesola, they all would have either been sentenced to death or at least they'll be spending the rest of their lives in prison. Confiscated assets, all their stuff confiscated. But in Nigeria, these are the people that the victims of Nigeria look up to. They call them, oh, His Honorable, His Excellency, Rauf Aregbesola, a criminal. Then are we going to talk about Gbajabiamila, the Speaker of the House of Representatives? Gbajabiamila literally he migrated back to Nigeria from the US because one of his kinsmen got into a top powerful position. Because like Fela said, it's a Padi Padi government.
We rule Nigeria before. The same old politicians. We spoil Nigeria before. Ambassador carry all of them.
The same faces from 30-something, 40-something years ago, they are the same people still there, multi-billionaires, while the rest of us fall deeper into poverty. That's the Nigerian system. Gbajabiamila relocated back to Nigeria from the United States, where in America he was a criminal. He had a criminal record, literally. Can't remember what he did. Maybe he was selling drugs, whatever. They're all criminals, okay? This guy went back to Nigeria, started working in the House of Representatives, was jumping over the fences in the name of fighting for his personal rights. They claim, oh, we are fighting for the right of Nigerians. But in real life, they are fighting for their own personal rights. At the end of the day, he became the Speaker of the House of Representatives. He never spoke in the interest of anybody but himself and the greedy criminal politicians that are friends of his. Gbajabiamila recently was in the UK with Tinubu when Tinubu went to disgrace himself in Chatham House. Tinubu was asked questions about, oh, how are you going to, I can't remember, maybe security. Listen, man, when these guys are speaking, it goes in from one ear, comes out from the other ear because they are wasting your time. They were asking Tinubu a question. How are you going to resolve the economic or the security situation in Nigeria? Tinubu says, oh, let me just talk to one of my sons, Gbajabiamila. Then the rogue Gbajabiamila took the microphone and just yapped. Look at the Gbajabiamila's face. This one at the bottom corner here. A bunch of shameless people, bro. And I can't blame them, man. I blame the Nigerian system for not being able to throw these rogues in prison. It's just almost impossible. These rogues that are supposed to be in prison today, they are the ones that the victims of Nigeria, the 75% living in multidimensional poverty, they are the ones looking up to these rogues. Those victims are looking up to these rogues that are supposed to be in prison, and the king of all the rogues is about to become the next president. And can the Nigerian people stop it? Well, we're going to see what Peter Obi and his supporters do in the elections. I believe they're going to get robbed in broad daylight. That's what I believe. I believe that Tinubu will emerge as the president, defeating Peter Obi in very, very controversial methods. That's what's going to happen. So what I'm waiting for right now is the reaction of the obedience. Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't even believe in the Nigerian system to start with. I don't believe in an election. I don't think an election will change anything. But if I was to put my support behind anybody, it would have been Shore. Because that is the only guy that, maybe because we have similar personalities, he goes out there to their faces and call them thieves and threatens them that you are going to go to prison when I become the president. And he has never held any political office. He has been consistent in fighting for the rights of the people. He has been consistent in disassociating himself from all these rogues that have destroyed the country from day one. And that's why I like Shore. But do I think he can win? No. Do I think even if he wins miraculously, he can change the country? I'll be honest with you, no. So we're just waiting and seeing what happens. But thank you for joining me this morning on the African Wahala. Don't forget, check out West Africa Weekly, their publication on Tinubu, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, from drug lord to presidential candidate, with links to actual documentations from different institutes in the United States that showcase his involvement with drug dealers from way back. And this is not the only controversy surrounding this guy. Okay, there are many other things surrounding it, but it is what it is. Thanks for joining me on the African Wahala. Sylvia, thank you so much, my beautiful sister. Peace and blessings.